Hi Pisces, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your May 2023 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who like, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's held crossbred as always, and also what the four agreements, wisdom, oracle, and Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off on one of those astrology guys we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Oh, that doesn't count. Alright, well, we have 6. And sixth house energy for you guys is actually Leo. Nothing really going on there astrologically just yet, but right around the third week of May, Mars is actually going to move into that sign. And sixth house in general points to health, work, daily routines, and I actually see Leo energy in your spread as well. We have Capricorn. So Capricorn energy for you guys is 11th house of groups, friendships, hopes, and wishes. And I also see Capricorn energy in your spread as well. And we have Uranus. So Uranus is actually in the sign of Taurus, which is your third house of communication, short journey, siblings. And we're going to have Mercury retrograde going on there too. So it could definitely be an impact around your communication this month. All right, so with all that out of the way, we get started with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the Queen of Cups, Cancer energy, and then squaring that we have the Death card, which is Scorpio energy. So seeing these two things here, I mean, if we see the way she's holding on to that cup and actually is covered up, right? So all the other cups in the cup suit are open, this one's covered up. And to me, this says that this is something that you've probably held on to for a long time and probably have a great deal of value for it. But for some of you, there could be resistance to leaving the situation behind, right? So I feel like there's this is, all right, so let's look at it a couple different ways. This is just maybe something from your past that happened that you've been holding on to for a real long time. I feel like this is saying that you, especially with that Scorpio full moon eclipse, you might be feeling a nudge to release that finally, right? And let's say for others of you, if this is something that maybe you've been hesitant to communicate around, right? Given that we were talking about the Mercury retrograde in your third house communication. And just be saying the Death card is pushing that out, right? Like either to kind of nudge you toward getting it out there or possibly just losing the opportunity to communicate around that situation. All right, in the foundation position, we have the Devil. So for some of you, this could be a situation around a friendship, right? So maybe if there's something that happened between you and a friend in the past and you wanted to speak up about it, but for whatever reason you've been resistant to doing so, this could just be saying that maybe this would be the month when you're actually going to feel that nudge to really finally get it out there. And whatever the situation is, it seems to be a karmic situation in nature, meaning that whoever you're interacting with, whoever you're dealing with, there is a need for you to learn a lesson from the situation. And that could just be saying that releasing what you've been holding back on would be the key to getting that lesson out there. All right, in the past position, we have the Nine of Cups. So this is actually a Piscean energy here, and it shows that in the past you're probably feeling pretty content, right? Things seem to be going smoothly for you. You were happy with what was going on around you. So to me, this says that, whatever, for the most part, it looks like things were going well at a certain point, even if you're feeling a lot more withdrawn now. All right, present position, we have the Strength card. So this is actually Leo energy, which I mentioned earlier. And seeing this here, it could just be saying that for whatever reason, you could just be holding back whatever you have to express, right? So maybe for some of you might feel like, oh, maybe if I say what I want to say, it's going to come across as egotistical, right? So maybe part of you is like, oh, let me not say it, right? So let's just say it's something that you really desire, but you feel like expressing that desire, people would be like, oh, that's very egotistical, this person. So that could be what's holding you back, right? Or for others, you might just feel like it could be passion that you're holding back for some of you as well. So a super generic way this could be playing out is, let's say, if there's a friend, right, that you have these romantic feelings for, but you've just been really hesitant to express those feelings for whatever reason. Could just be saying that, you're trying to suppress that urge. And that could be what's bubbling up to the surface for you guys this month. All right, in the near future position, we have the Hangman. So yeah, usually I view this as a Pisces energy here. And overall, I feel like this is saying that you're really going to be trying to figure out how best to handle the situation, right? So for a lot of you, might withdraw off a little bit and really try to figure out, okay, how do I actually go about this, right? Do I express myself? Do I hold it back? Whatever the case may be. But it definitely looks like you guys will be trying to figure out what you need to do. So part of you might feel like, yeah, something does need to change, but you could just be trying to figure out how you want to tackle it. All right, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Queen of Swords. So to me, this says that beneath it all, what could be fueling this is for a lot of you, might want to just make sure it's perfect, right? You might want to make sure that, okay, really taking the other side into consideration, right? Like, okay, what would really work best for both sides, right? So that could be part of what's leading to you taking a long time to come to a decision on how to do it, right? So like, okay, I know what I would want, but what would the other person want, right? So you're trying to figure that out and then figure out what would be the best compromise in the situation. And for some of you, this could even just be saying that you might have started that thought process when we had the Libra full moon during Aries season. All right, in the environment position, we have the Five of Pentacles. So this is a Taurus energy here, and I view this coming out a couple different ways. If this represents another person, right? So again, like I said, this is a friendship or something along those lines where maybe you had a falling out, you haven't been expressing your feelings to this person. You could just be saying, okay, well now this would be a good time to get it out there because they're feeling a loss there as well, right? And for some of you, another way could be coming across too. We could just be saying that in the process of making sure everything's just right, right? Neither side is benefiting, right? Because you're lacking the connection with the person, they're lacking the connection. So it's like, it's almost a lose-lose in the current state of things. All right. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Sun. So yeah, clearly you want to see a positive outcome, right? So that makes perfect sense there. But again, like I said, I feel like there's a bit of a fear on your part around how the situation would be perceived, I feel like is the main thing. So I feel like that's the main thing. You're just not so worried about just putting out there what you have to say, but more of how it would be perceived, right? But the only thing you got to be mindful of there as well, there's a little bit of assumption right then, right? Around that, right? Where you could assume how someone else would feel about something, but you can't really know for sure. And with the artwork here, I feel like this is saying that maybe the approach would be to take a more light, playful energy around the situation. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Page of Swords. So to me, this says ultimately you will come forward and communicate whatever this is that you've been holding back on, and maybe with some nervousness around it, right? I always used to point out that in the background there, those trees almost remind me of the Facebook logo, right? So for some of you, might decide, all right, maybe the best way to do it would be to communicate through social media, right, as opposed to face or a phone call, whatever, right? But either way, I feel like this is saying that you will eventually feel that nudge to come forward and say what you need to say. All right. Bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Pentacles. So this is a pretty positive energy to see here. This is actually a Taurus energy, so it could just be pointing to the timeline, saying that as we're in the middle of Taurus season is when you'll be able to rebalance things. But what I see with this is that's a good indicator that could go well, is that if you really truly feel that, okay, maybe it's on me to speak up, right? Then I feel like this is saying that would help restore the balance in the situation. And likewise, if you feel like, I feel like this person shortchanged me in some way, right? I feel like they should be doing more for me. Again, I feel like this is saying that if you communicate that as well, then there's a good chance of the balance being restored there, right? But again, it just has to come back to, you don't want to necessarily make assumptions that they know all of these things, right? Until it's communicated. All right, moving on to your Four Agreements card, we have Don't Take Anything Personally, and it says Relinquish Self-Importance. Okay, it says personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. So yeah, I mean, in a way, that card sounds maybe a little bit more harsh than I feel like the energy actually is there on your part. Like I said, it definitely seems like there could be some assumption on your part, but I don't think it's coming from a negative place necessarily, whereas this makes it sound like you're coming out of ego. Like I said, if anything, I feel like you might have the fear to be perceived that way, but I feel like you are actually suppressing your ego. All right, moving on to the Wisdom Oracle card, we have Never Ending Story. There's the artwork, and the number is 37. Alright, so yeah, for some of you, this could definitely be something that's going on for quite some time. Okay, essential meanings says self-criticism, the wounded ego, unnecessary dramas. The oracle's message: there is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you cannot do this, must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today you know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. So yeah, reading that definitely seems to resonate with what I was feeling as far as, like I said, it seems like there's this part of you where like you might fear expressing yourself around a certain situation and fearing how it would be viewed, right? Just one of those things. So that could be what's forcing you to hold back. And like I said, but the downside of holding back is it looks like it's not only causing limitation for you, but those around you as well. All right, the relationship message says sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, and low self-esteem are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship. Consider how valuable that knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to figure out for yourself, Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. So yeah, again, definitely a pretty positive message there as well. And like I said, it seems to fit the overall theme of the reading, so hopefully it resonated. And the prosperity message says fear, envy, procrastination, greed, and the perception of victimhood could all be active in your life at this moment. Are you comparing yourself with others, thinking their success should be yours? Maybe you're afraid of all the good that is coming your way, so you step out of your lane, totally aware of what you're doing, but seemingly powerless to stop yourself. Are you back where you started, or in a situation that reminds you of past failures? Financial insecurity scaring you? You must learn to love yourself through missteps and sabotaging moments. Use criticism constructively right now. Better yet, stop telling the story altogether. Make up a new one. The universe loves you deeply and will wait for you to figure that out. Tell a new story and success is all but guaranteed. You can do it. So yeah, definitely a pretty positive message there too. And that takes me back to what I was saying, to where you're holding back, feeling like, oh, I want to make sure everything's just right. It could just be saying that others are losing out in that situation too, right? So maybe if you're looking at the way someone else does things versus how you do it, and you're like, oh, maybe I should take the approach they're taking because they're succeeding with it, right? It could just be saying that your unique approach to things is needed as well. So if you try to mute that and try to align with someone else's path, then you can end up depriving yourself and those around you there too. So hopefully that resonated as well. All right, and lastly, we have a Mudra for you guys, and this is the Mudra here. It's the Bhairava Mudra, and the keyword for it is fierceness. Okay, and there's the info on it. If you want to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it has to say, but under benefits, it says calms the mind, serves as an aid to meditation, cuts ego clinging, and imparts the courage needed to fully embrace life as it is. So if that sounds like a Mudra you think would be beneficial for you guys, we'll put the name in the description below. As always, we'll wrap up there, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.